Borderlands 3 has changed my life. I never thought that I would say that about a video game, but there's not a game that rings truer for than Borderlands. I found out about Borderlands back in 2018, 2019 when I first started playing Borderlands 2. I fell in love with it, and when I found out there was going to be Borderlands 3 coming out September of 2019 that year, I was so ecstatic and instantly pre ordered the Ultimate Edition for Xbox. And when it came out, I was a Zane main from day one. And if you know anything about day one Zane, and for quite a while there, it was rough. So, not soon after, I started looking for content for helping me fix my Zane. One of the people that came up on YouTube was Killer Six. K6's content on Borderlands was amazing, and I saw him say that he streamed live on Twitch, and I had never been on Twitch before. It was a new concept to me altogether. So I made my way over to Twitch, signed up, and went to follow so that I could catch a stream. At the time, he was offline, but I figured I'll follow and catch the next one. Much to my surprise, there was somebody lurking in his chat while he was offline, Zifnab. And Zifnab commented and welcomed me into the community and even went so far as to let me know of some other creators that I may also want to follow if I'm interested in Borderlands content. And one of those names was Damn It to Hell. I followed Dammit, catched his streams, and instantly was just in love. So I watched him quite a bit back then. One day he raided over to Kentucky Wildcats, or Cats as we call him, and I fell in love instantaneously with the dynamic between Cats and Jabber, his veteran buddy. They always bantered back and forth and were playing Borderlands together quite a lot. I became a regular in Cat's channel and became friends with Cats and Jabber. Ended up modding for Cats, and I was his first subscriber when he got affiliated. And I always like to rub that I'm the first founder in Jabber's face. We are friends to this day, and I would play with them on stream quite a bit with Borderlands 3. Around that time, everybody started streaming in our friends list, it seemed. Everybody was streaming Borderlands 3. One of those people that we found was Only Asher. And I had never been to any of the streams, but I had heard the name before and apparently followed in a raid at some point because one night at the beginning of June in 2020, I couldn't sleep and I was scrolling on Twitch trying to see if anybody was playing the game and saw that he was. And so I hopped into the chat to say hello and just see what he was up to. And then I heard it. The most southern voice that you could ever hear in my ears. And I instantly said, "Who's that?" And he said, "That's Heffertib," or they called him Hef or Ferdy. He's my friend and he's busted at Amara. He was known at that time for crashing people's consoles and PCs because of how much his lag Mara just did insane area of effect. And I was instantly intrigued. And I said, "Where's that accent from, Ferdy?" And he said South Carolina and told me about where. And I said, "I know people there." And we instantly clicked. That night, I joined Asher's Discord and started typing some messages in there teasing Ferdy. And he ended up DMing me, asking me what I meant. We went back and forth a little that night, but nothing much. Told him good night, and that was it. A few days later, I asked him about his build for Lagmara, which I never even used. I pretty much stayed on Zane religiously for the entire time that I played. But he gave me his build, and I went on my way. It was a few weeks later, toward the end of June, he found his way into Katz's channel and heard my voice for the first time. And when he came in and said hello, I was like ecstatic. I hadn't seen him online in a while. And I said, Ferdy, how are you? How are you doing? I haven't seen you in so long. And he said in that moment that it felt like I truly cared about him and truly missed him. And so even though we had teased around a lot, he said maybe it's for reals and maybe it's not just joking. I'll shoot my shot. So he messaged me on Discord and said, if you ever want to talk, feel free to IM me or DM me. And so after stream that night, I sent him a message back and said, same. And we just started talking back and forth. And we ended up talking on Discord or messaging back and forth on Discord for about 5 hours that night. And then every single day after that, we were talking and hanging out. And he played on PlayStation 4, and at the time there was not cross compatibility to play, so he ended up getting an Xbox One so that we could play together, and we spent every single day after that together. About 6 months after we met online, I traveled over to South Carolina to visit him for the first time, and 2 months later, he got on an airplane and moved here 2,000 miles cross country to be with me. 1 year later, on our anniversary, we had promise rings made by our good friend within the Borderlands community as well for 10 fun size. And now, almost 3 years later, I'm marrying my best friend. It was so unexpected, and all I was wanting was some build ideas for Zane on Borderlands 3 and came away with the love of my life. And that's how Borderlands has changed my life forever.